Hello, I'm Marie Vibert, and camera is there, and I'm here to talk to you about Do Not Go Quietly, this gorgeous anthology, which was edited by Jason Sizemore and Leslie Connor of Apex fame. And the premise is victorious defiance, and I just loved that when I heard of that because we need more defiance, and God, we need more victory. So, do not go quietly. The story I have in here is called South of the Waffle House, and it's a very personal story that I started writing not for this anthology. It was just something I wanted to write about the oppression of growing up poor and liberal in the rural America. I grew up in the Great Lakes region, and I swear to God, you could not get close enough to downtown Cleveland, you could not get close enough to Canada to get away from this yeehaw, Confederate-y garbage and guys with big flags going, "It's my culture, my granddad was from West Virginia." And I'm like, you've lived here your entire life, and it's called West Virginia because they fought for the North. Anyway, so that was the beginning of it. And one of the signs of Southern culture was Waffle House. We always felt like it's funny because you see more Waffle Houses the further south you drive. And we used to shout, "Waffle House!" Every time we saw a Waffle House, we had a whole thing. Anyway, me and my buddies. So I started just with this idea, this sentence, South of the Waffle House. And I wanted to write a character who was a child of an undocumented immigrant. And of course, I was very afraid of writing the other. But there were a lot of undocumented immigrants in my town and growing up. And other kids didn't seem to see them. In fourth grade, we had to do this thing with our town where we wrote our own version. And mine opened with the migrant workers in trucks driving by. When my friend said, "I thought they were tourists." I'm talking too much and I'm not reading enough. So out of fear of writing the other, I made her a lot like me. She's pretty much me. And I realized that's another problem. But it also made it a story about assimilation and passing. And kind of a coming out story with my main character and her best friend, Chester. So I'm just going to read a little bit. South of the Waffle House by Marie Vibert. Me and Chester were throwing rocks at bottles lined up on the freeway guardrail behind Waffle House when some redneck chewed up the berm, knocking everything to crap and hee-hawing, "Build me a wall, Sancho," out of his Confederate flag painted window. That was meant for me, and it was bad enough without him calling me a boy's name. I threw a rock after him, not that he'd be able to tell, and asked Chester, "How far down north do we gotta be? We're like 2 blocks from Canada." Chester threw his handful of gravel like it was slow motion and loped up to the guardrail. "If you're south of a Waffle House," he said, "you're in the South." "The hell does that mean?" Chester had a way of saying odd things and moving odd, underwater slow like that. I followed him, picking through the wild chicory that grew thick under the metal rail. There were so many wrappers and paper bags and cup lids in the weeds, it was like the ground was white. I hated humanity just then, and Waffle House in particular. The Rolling Rock bottles were all shattered, and I'd been looking forward to shattering one. All we had left were Mexican Coke, and those are thick and hard to break, and an assortment of plastic. It's fine to knock plastic bottles off, but you don't get that hope of clean, bright destruction. "You ever think there's aliens?" Chester asked. He was looking up at the freeway. "Space aliens," I corrected, but like usual, he ignored me. "Like, there are aliens, but we never see them, because like the whole Earth is a crap rest stop town, and nobody wants to stop." "People do stop here," I said. "I wish they didn't. The place would be cleaner." Chester did his shrug again, the one that took his whole body into it. He was a pudgy kid, not fat, but pudgy, with frizzy blonde curls and skin almost as dark as mine. You'd think it was a suntan, but it didn't fade in winter. That was why he'd hang out with me, even though I was a year younger and a girl. I wondered if Chester was a space alien, and not for the first time. It wasn't just how he moved and looked a little different. He escaped North Fork with regularity to stay with his dad in Toledo, where he had a whole other life and a whole other bedroom and everything. But he always came back like it was a war, and he didn't want to talk about it. I threw a good-sized chunk of gravel at the Coke bottle, and it freaking bounced off. "This is lame," I said. I waited for Chester to suggest something else to do. Since we started 5th grade, everyone teased we were girlfriend-boyfriend, even though I wouldn't kiss Chester if he were the last human being on Earth. I might if he was an alien, though, for science. Chester nodded like he was considering the gravity of it all, and then he looked sideways at me. "Want to see something secret?" I threw my pebble at him. "Does the Pope crap in the woods?" Chester flinched more than he needed to because he knew I wanted a reaction and waved me over to the dumpster fence. Every fast food joint has a dumpster fence, this outside area with a wall around it in case they are afraid you're going to steal their garbage. This one was in the back corner of the lot, tucked into the rising curve of the freeway on-ramp. I'd never gone over there because, ew. Chester picked through the taller weeds, waving me on. There was this line of stunted, shabby Christmas trees to hide the dumpster fence from the freeway. Chester ducked between them. It was cool and dark and surprisingly open under the shrubs, like a miniature pine forest with all these needles on the ground. And there was this thing. I'm going to stop there. So please get your copy. Apex Books. Do not go quietly. And do not go quietly. Do not.
WaffleHouse, WaffleHouse.